Let your body grow heavy and still. Let your mind release the last few thoughts it has been holding on to. Whatever is unfinished, whatever is unsettled, whatever is still turning quietly in the back of your mind, you can let it rest now, just for this hour, just for tonight. Take one slow breath in and let it out gently, and again, in and out, soft and unhurried, like the very last moments before sleep. Welcome back to Hidden Bible Stories. Tonight, we reach the end of Joseph's journey. It has been a long road, from the hills of Canaan to the pit, to the desert caravan, to Potiphar's house, to the prison, to the palace of Pharaoh. And tonight, everything comes together. Every broken piece, every long year, every unanswered question. Tonight, it finds its meaning. If this journey has brought you peace, we would love for you to subscribe to Hidden Bible Stories. There are more stories waiting, more quiet nights like this one ahead. But for now, let us finish walking with Joseph, together, slowly and peacefully. Close your eyes if you like, breathe gently, and let the story come to you one last time.
There is a kind of fullness that only comes at the end of a very long journey. Not loudness, not triumph, just a quiet fullness, a deep settling, like water that has finally found its level. I know that feeling now. I've lived inside it for many years, but it took a long time to arrive, and the road to it was longer than I ever imagined. The 7 years of abundance came, just as the dream had said they would. The harvests were extraordinary, more grain than Egypt had seen in living memory, more than the people could use. And I oversaw the gathering of it, year by year, quietly, carefully. We stored it in every city, so much that we eventually stopped counting, because there was no number large enough. Those were full years, good years. I built a life in Egypt during that time, a family, a home, a sense of belonging in a land that had once felt foreign. And I was grateful, deeply, quietly grateful for all of it. And then the 7 years of plenty ended, and the famine began, just as quietly as the abundance had. One harvest less full than the last, and then another. And then the sky growing stingy with its rain, and the earth growing dry, and the people beginning to feel the thinning of things. The famine was not only in Egypt, it spread across the land, into neighboring countries, into distant places. People traveled to Egypt because they had heard there was grain here, that someone had prepared. And so they came from many directions, families, old men, young men, standing in lines, waiting quietly for enough to take home. I was the one who oversaw all of it, every day, every distribution. And I saw many faces during those years, many tired, many grateful, many from lands I recognized, and many I did not. I never knew which face any particular day would bring, until one morning a group of men arrived, and I looked at them, and something inside me went very still. I knew them, even after all those years, even with age on their faces, even with the weariness of a long journey in their eyes. I knew the way they stood together, the shape of them, the particular way of a family. My brothers, all of them, standing before me, not knowing who I was, bowing low as they waited for grain. I said nothing for a long moment. I simply looked at them, and inside, something moved that I cannot fully describe. Not anger, not bitterness. Something more complicated than that, and quieter. The feeling of a story arriving at a place you did not know it was heading. I did not reveal myself to them that day. I needed time, not to punish them, but to understand, to observe who they had become, whether the years had changed them, whether regret had done its quiet work. I spoke to them through an interpreter, keeping my voice steady, my face composed. And I asked them questions. Where did they come from? Did they have a father? Were there other brothers? They told me about an old man at home, their father, and a younger brother, Benjamin, the youngest, my father's last remaining comfort. And when they spoke of the old man, I could hear something in their voices, a tenderness, a protectiveness, something that had not been there when they were young men in the fields, something that only grief and time can grow in a person. I will not tell you every detail of the months that followed, because the details are not what matter most tonight. What matters is the direction everything was moving, towards something. Quietly, steadily, the way a river moves toward the sea, without hurrying, without stopping, just moving, always in one direction. When Benjamin finally came with them, I had to leave the room, just for a moment, to compose myself. Because seeing him, the brother born from the same mother as me, the one I had left behind as a child, standing there, grown and alive and present, that was almost more than I could hold quietly. But I held it a little longer, just a little longer. And then came the day when I could hold it no longer. The room was full. My brothers were all there, and something in me simply opened, like a door that has been closed for a very long time, finally, gently coming open. I asked everyone else to leave the room, and when it was just us, just the sons of Jacob, I stood there for a moment, in the silence, and then I said the words, quietly, I am Joseph. The room went absolutely still, the kind of still that has weight in it. I could see the color leave their faces. I could see the fear come in. The memory of what they had done, the pit, the caravan, the coat dipped in blood, all of it returning in a single moment. And they were afraid, deeply afraid, because now the boy they had sold was the second most powerful man in Egypt, and they were standing right in front of him. I did not let them stay in that fear. I did not want them there, not because they did not deserve to reckon with what they had done, but because I had already reckoned with it myself. For many years, in the prison, in the palace, in the quiet nights when the questions came, I had reckoned with all of it. And I had found my way to something I want to tell you about, something I want you to hear tonight, before you sleep. I told them to come close, and I said, "Do not be afraid." I said it gently, because I meant it gently. I am your brother Joseph, the one you sold into Egypt. And now, do not be distressed. Do not be angry with yourselves, because it was not really you who sent me here. It was God. Let me say that again, slowly, because it is the most important thing I ever understood. It was God, not just them, not just the traitors, not just the false accusation, not just the prison. All of it, all of the long and broken road was in His hands the whole time. What they meant for harm, God used for good, to save many lives, including theirs, including mine. That understanding did not come quickly. It took years, quiet years, years of sitting with the pain and slowly, very slowly, allowing God to show me a larger picture, a wider frame, one in which even the worst moments were not outside His reach, were not wasted, were not accidents, but were woven with a care and a precision I could only see from the other side. Forgiveness, I have learned, is not something that happens all at once. It is not a single decision made in a single moment. It is something that grows slowly, in the quiet, tended like a garden, day by day, choice by choice, until one morning you realize the weight is gone, and in its place there is just peace, wide and quiet and deep. Peace that could not have existed without the pain, but that is more beautiful for having come through it. I held my brothers that day. I wept, tears that had been waiting a long time to fall. And they wept too. And the room that had been full of fear became something else entirely. Something warm, something that felt like restoration, like the sound of a long silence finally ending. I told them to go back to Canaan, to bring our father, to bring everyone, their families, their flocks, everything. There was still 5 years of famine ahead, and I wanted them here, safe, provided for, together, the way a family is meant to be. When my father Jacob arrived in Egypt, I went out to meet him. And when I saw him, that old man I had loved my whole life, older now, thinner, but still him, still the eyes I had known from the very beginning, I held him and I wept again for a long time. And he held me and said he was ready to die now because he had seen my face, because I was still alive, because after all those years of grief, he had his son back. The family settled in Egypt, in a region called Goshen, good land, green and open, and we were together, fed, safe, restored. After everything, after all of it, restored. I want to leave you with something tonight. Not a loud thing, just a quiet one. Something to carry into your sleep. God is a God who restores. Not always quickly, not always in the way we expected, not always on the timeline we hoped for, but He restores. He takes the broken pieces, the ones that seem too far apart to ever fit together again, and He gathers them, slowly, carefully, with a patience that is beyond anything we can manage ourselves. And one day, when the morning comes, you look at what he has assembled from the wreckage, and you realize it is more beautiful than what you started with. Because it has been through something, and survived, and been held all the way through. Whatever is broken in your life tonight, whatever seems too far gone, too far apart, too long in the waiting, let this old story be a gentle word to you. He is a God who restores. He has always been, He will always be, and He has not forgotten a single piece of what is yours.
That was the 6th part of Joseph's story, and the road ahead is more beautiful than anything that has come before. Joseph now stands at the center of the most powerful nation in the world. He has work to do. 7 years to prepare. And somewhere out in the land of Canaan, a family is still living. An old father who has never stopped grieving, and brothers who have never forgotten what they did. The famine is coming, and when it arrives, it will bring people to Egypt from every direction, including some faces that Joseph never expected to see again. This story is moving towards something extraordinary, and every part of it is worth staying for. Thank you for being here tonight, for resting in this quiet journey through Scripture. If you would like to follow Joseph all the way to the end, subscribe to Hidden Bible Stories so you do not miss a single part. The next chapter is coming very soon. And now, let your thoughts slow down. Let the images from this story drift gently through your mind, like slow water moving through a wide and peaceful river. You are held tonight, known and cared for, by the same God who saw a young man in a prison and had already prepared a palace. He sees you too, right where you are, in this quiet room, in this still and gentle night. Let your eyes stay closed, let your breathing slow, and drift softly, peacefully into sleep. Good night. Rest well, and we will walk with Joseph again very soon.